Hey, Katie.
Hey Rhiannon, how's it going?
It's going well. I was just talking to Zoom because they do not put their buttons in a convenient place. So if that's in the recording later, that's what happened there.
Oh, that's lovely. How was
yeah,
your holiday weekend?
it was good. So we are recording this on July 5th. When it goes up, I don't know, not July 5th, that's for sure. Um, we saw fireworks in downtown San Jose. They had like a little fireworks display like right by the Children's Museum. And San Jose downtown didn't like fully recuperate from COVID. So like you can park at like this like the Caltrain station's half a mile away and then just walk. So we parked, we walked, we saw fireworks, we walked back to the car, we went home. So it was like very low key, free fireworks, great fireworks that went on like non for 20 minutes nonstop. And you know how at the end, like they go crazy and they set off like literally every firework they've ever bought in their life. I was
Yes.
telling my daughter, and I'm like, they're not done yet. She's like, how? When are they gonna be? I'm like, you'll know when they're done because it will go crazy. And they went on. It was daylight. It was so bright. They set off so many fireworks at the same time. Like it went from like night to day with the brightness. It was crazy. How about you? What
Uh,
did you guys do?
a little bit of cooking out. We are conveniently located in the suburbs where we can see like three different other suburbs fireworks throughout the weekend. So did a little bit of just like watching from the back porch. Actually went to a couple movies this weekend, which was good. We went to see the No Hard Feelings, the Jennifer Lawrence kind of raunchy comedy that came out.
Yeah, yeah.
So good. So funny. It reminded me of the early aughts and the American Pie days and the Euro trips and road trips and just
Mhm.
good old fashioned crazy art comedies. I think Jennifer Lawrence fans will be very shocked and awed by the amount of herself that she gave to this movie. Let's just put it that way.
Well, she was really good on on Hot Ones. So, if you are brave enough to go on Hot Ones to promote your movie, I probably will see it. Not in theaters. Sorry, Jennifer Lawrence. You're not worth getting a babysitter. And 11 years old is not old enough to leave home alone for 4 hours. So, it'll be on streaming.
There you go. So we saw
Yeah.
that, and then last night we actually saw the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh, how is that?
Uh it was good. It was
Yeah.
good. It was a nice ending to the Indiana Jones franchise.
Hmm.
It was typical Indiana Jones cheese. Lots of people came back for like a last appearance. Story was decent. Uh, but still the Last Crusade is still my favorite Indiana Jones
Yeah.
movie, I do have to
Yeah.
say. So, but I think the worst part was I rewatched Crystal Skull or Crystal Kingdom or whatever the heck it was called before this
Yeah.
and went, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have rewatched that. I absolutely hated it when I saw it and it was even worse. And I'm like, oh, this did not get me excited for the Dial of Destiny, but
Yeah.
it was good though. It was good.
Well, we haven't really been able to convince Hannah to watch them because she doesn't like things that are too scary. But
Yeah.
she recently watched Avatar with her dad, and I'm like, oh, and you like that? You watched the whole thing, so maybe you're ready to have like more like grown-up style movies. And there's no romance. And like I would guess that in Indiana Jones, like Harrison Ford is like 80 years old, so he's probably not a romantic lead in the movie. So maybe like
No, it
there's
was
not
actually more about like family relationships than it was about romantic relationships. There was like
yeah.
some callbacks to some lines and all of that, but definitely not like the hot and heavy Raiders and Temple of
Temple
Doom and
of
all that.
Doom.
Like
Yeah.
none, no, we're well beyond those years for
Yeah.
Indy for sure.
Yeah. So I might maybe we'll try to take her to see that, take her to the drive-in or something. Well, I took Hannah and her little friend to see a movie. So I saw the new Disney Pixar Elemental, and
Oh,
it's cute. It's definitely a movie for 10-year-olds, because it is about a girl who she's a fire element, and she's trying to meet her family's expectations for how she should be and like take over the family business and all this other stuff. And then she meets this guy who's a water element, and fire and water don't mix, but then she really likes him, blah blah blah. So it's a romance, like it's a romantic comedy of a cartoon. So Hannah was like, she's like, I don't like this. There's a lot of like they're gonna smooch. There's a lot of will they won't they happening. She's not into it, but it was cute. Her other little friend was really more into the will they won't they of it, but it was funny. People are going on like, oh, this is not good. This Pixar is losing it, and I'm like, is Pixar losing it, or are they talking to 12-year-old girls who's an underserved audience but really really loves things? And actually, when we get to the music picks, like all my music picks are about like me being an 11-year-old girl and like getting interested in maybe having a romance in my life. So I think that this audience, this like kind of tweeny on the cusp of getting ready to have an adult life, I might like someone and I might want to kiss them on their lips. It was cute, but it's definitely like, it's not Toy Story where it's like the coming of age story of a like
Yeah.
classic conflicts and all that stuff. It's definitely a different kind of story, but I thought it was really good. And it's really pretty, which is always what's nice about Pixar. So I don't know that I recommend it to two adults to go see. You probably can wait for that one to be on streaming. But if you know any 11-year-olds, they would probably like it.
Well, that's wonderful to know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us hop into our songs. So Katie, do you have songs this week?
I absolutely do. This week, I just thought I would go with a fun off the wall theme. A lot of the stuff is still from early 90s or late 90s, my teens, late teen years. This week, my theme is food related. So
Ooh,
either the artist or the song title is kind of food related. So I thought that would be pretty
okay.
fun. So
Okay.
here is my first one.
Your love is better than ice cream, better than anything else that I've tried. Your love is better than ice cream. Everyone here knows how to cry. It's a long way down. It's a long way down. It's a long way down to the place where we started.
Have you heard this song before?
So it doesn't sound familiar, but I definitely like, I was in this like message board for like 15 years, and this song, the lyric, your love is better than ice cream, like got repeated often enough that I'm like, have I heard this song? Or have I just been hearing the reference to this song for 20 something years? And that, because I'm like, the sound of this is not ringing any bells, but definitely this lyric I'm very familiar with.
Right. So this is actually Sarah McLachlan. I'm hoping that most people who listen to this pod know who she is because she's famous for many, many reasons, and her music is beautiful. But this is off of her Fumbling Towards Ecstasy album that has her famous song Possession on it. I mean, this is like early Sarah. And again, one of my penny CDs that I bought, 12 for a penny or whatever, and just played the crap out of it. But I just love it. Really, it's a shorter song, and it's your love's better than ice cream, and then the second verse is your love's better than chocolate, but basically everything else is the same.
Mhm.
But being a younger girl, let's see, it came out when I was 12, so I probably really heard it when I was 14, I would imagine, just thinking through it. But listening to her voice and just I'm sure I was in English class, listening and learning about metaphors and similes, and just trying to get my hands on anything that compares abstract things to concrete examples. I probably just nerded out over the words, and also being a romantic teen, and oh, do I love them so much?
Yeah.
I love them better than ice cream. I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
but some things about Sarah, just to throw that out there. She's Canadian. I talked about her earlier in a connection with another song that she partnered with someone because she was adopted, and so she's done a lot of songs and collaborations to bring awareness to adoption, to raise money and help for children that were adopted. And then, of course, she was one of the co-founders of Lilith Fair, and it wasn't like this big campaign that she was on to start this movement. It was just she was tired of not being booked, not being able to have the same kind of easily situated putting on concerts like men did. And so her first concert she booked and did by herself was with Paula Cole, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? And so that was like the year before Lilith Fair, and she was like really well received. It was a great tour. And then just the Lilith Fair happened the year after that. And it only happened, I think, like 96 through 99. It was very short lived, but it was very influential in my life. Like, I thought it went on a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
To read that and just go, wow, I can't believe it was only those few years. And I think like most things, 10 or 15 years later, someone tried to resurrect the Lilith Fair, but then there was like issues with, will the artists get paid? It's not really working out. And then people were dropping out of the lineup. And so it never happened.
Yeah.
But I'm sure anytime you see a dog in a cage in a commercial, you'll hear Sarah McLachlan in the
Yeah.
arms of the angel, which
Yeah.
was also, in the oh my gosh, what movie is it with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan?
Oh, Nicolas Cage, Meg Ryan, they're in San Francisco.
Yes.
She's a doctor and she
Oh,
gets hit
yes.
by a car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm like, I literally just saw this
I'm pretty
movie, like,
sure it's like
3
City of
months ago.
Angels or something like that.
Might be.
But a
Yeah.
lot of good like that soundtrack was awesome. Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls, and the Sarah McLachlan song. I can't think of the others, but I liked that soundtrack a lot. But
Yeah.
her stuff was used on quite a few TV shows and movies. So anyway, that was that little one of her less popular known songs there. My next one's kind of a stretch to call it food themed, but I love it so much. And
Okay.
the video is crazy weird. And so it's gonna need like a minute and a half because it's got some great claymation. And I'm just curious to see if you know this one, but this one warped my fragile little mind back in 93. So let me get this going.
Well, the first little piggy, well, he was kind of hippie, spent most of his days just dreaming of the city. And then one day, he bought a guitar. He moved to Hollywood to become a star. But living on the farm, he knew nothing of the city. Built his house out of straw, what a pity. Then one day, jamming on some chords, along came the wolf, knocking on his door. Little pig, let me in. By the hair of my chinny chin chin. Little pig, let me in. By the hair of my chinny chin chin. Well, I'm humping, just smoking, hopping and a bopping down on Venice Beach, getting paid money for religious speech. Built his shelter from when he garbage picked, mostly made up of old cans and sticks. Then one day he was cranking up a Marley. Along came the wolf on his big bad Harley. Little pig, whack me in.
Okay. You get the gist. Hopefully you're aware of the
This one I do know.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So this one, I just remember watching MTV like midnight, 1 in the morning. They had like these after hours show, Liquid Television, and then they'd also play like offbeat videos or whatever. And this was on all the time.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
So obviously I have a little kid, and you go through like this period where you like read these stories, and I had like this imprint of this song, and especially like little pig, let me in. And I come like, did I hallucinate this? Is this a fever dream? Like, why is this in my brain? Because like obviously I was in band, my friends in band, everybody wanted to be, heavy metal and hard rock, and like, so everyone was also goofy. So this song kind of like circulated in our group, and I just like completely forgot about its existence, but it just had imprinted that not by the hairs and my teeth. I'm like, it's so stupid.
Exactly. So this band, they actually started out being called Green Jello, but of course, as you can imagine, craft
Yeah.
products had a problem with it being called Green Jello. So they changed
Yeah.
their name to Green Jelly. And they actually formed in 81, which I had no idea. That one blew my mind. But the
Yeah.
other part too that is not surprising is Maynard James Keenan from Tool has been part of this band. And also the guy who did this video, I don't want to just say the guy, his name is Fred Sturr. He also directed Tool's Sober video. So there's lots of I can see it now. As a kid, I probably wouldn't have made any connection or cared, but now that I
Yeah.
love Tool, know Tool, I'm older, like, oh my gosh, this totally makes sense, that I would
Yeah.
like this crazy sound. But they refer to themselves, they're just like a crazy theatrical humorous band, just intentionally crude. The lead singer and the only remaining, the guy who like stays steadfast in the band, his name is Bill Manspeaker. Just they don't care. They're just like, whatever, this is hilarious, insults,
Yeah.
it's all good. And I like that kind of humor. So but also, since the California Grapes and just that crazy claymation that we grew up with as kids, and all of the Santa Claus movies,
Yeah.
and Rudolph the Red, I just love that stuff. That's chef's kiss galore. I wish
Yeah.
we still had it around,
Yeah, it's definitely like, it adds to, I think this is not, if this isn't made now and they do it with like CGI graphics or whatever, it's not as good. Like, it's kind of like everything else from Dr. Demento. Part of its appeal is like the lo-fi budget of
Yes.
the video.
Yes, how gritty it is, like everything
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. So I've had that on my list to bring on the pod for I don't know how long. And I just thought, this could fit in kind of a food theme thing. This is definitely going in there. But I absolutely love that. The third one, I do have to say, is very, very popular. And I don't think anyone listening to it will be like, I've never heard this before. But it's very one of my favorite bands, mine and my husband's favorite bands. And it's just part of my wallpaper of life. So I had to bring it onto the pod to share a little bit. So without further ado.
Oh,
Hanging around downtown by myself, and I had so much time to sit and think about myself, and then there she was, like double cherry pie, Yeah, there she was, like disco superfly. I smell sex and candy here. Who's that lounging in my chair? Who's that casting devious stares in my direction? Mama, this surely is a dream. Yeah, mama, this surely is a dream. Take it.
And then more of the same. I'm guessing you've heard this song before.
I almost put this song on my list this week.
That's so funny. So yes, those of you who don't know, this is a band called Marcy Playground. Um, what I love, first of all, is that so many people say Marcy's Playground. But if you know the origin of the name, which is they're named after the Marcy Open Grade School in Minneapolis, where the lead singer went to school. And so it's the Marcy Playground. So you never put the plural on the Marcy,
Yeah.
if you know where the name came from. But John Wozniak is the lead singer. He goes by Woz, John Woz, whatever. They were formed in Minneapolis. This is their hit they're best known for. I think a lot of people would think that they're one-hit wonders, but they're really not. And they
Mhm.
have, I think they have 5 or 6 albums. And this is there are many, many good songs on this album in particular, just called Marcy Playground. But one of my favorites is Leaving Wonderland in a Fit of Rage. And that was like probably in 2009 and has, I don't know, I think every song on there, except for maybe 1 or 2, I could play on repeat over and over. But a lot of people say they're kind of post grunge with psychedelic elements. The lead singer said he was inspired to write that song after a woman told him that a room smelled like sex and candy. And then, I think the more he's interviewed about the song, he just keeps changing where he got it from.
Mhm.
And it's just, it alludes to some disco era lingo. It has some fun things in it. But this is one of my husband and I's favorite bands. We've seen them at least 5 times, met them a few times, have a bunch of signed things. The last time we saw them was in a venue maybe a year ago. So it was like post COVID, and they had to travel. And so they weren't like coming out and shaking hands because they were afraid they were going to get COVID and stuff. But
Mhm.
they were really cool and like took some vinyl back to get signed by the band. And then actually, I didn't mean to have it right here in handy, but we got a drumstick we tied together here with some twist tie, but the drummer show me signed it. So we just have a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
like that from Marcy Playground. We're just forever fans. So I put
Yeah, for
Sex and
me,
Candy on here as a song just for the theme, but
yeah.
just to say, hey, their music. I mean, the Shapeshifter album was the next album that came out, and there's just a lot of good lyrics. There's a song called My Generation, and he references like the Free to Be You and Me, and just kind of the dissonance of like, what are we really growing up in? I was part of the Free to Be You and Me generation. And there's a song called Death of a Cheerleader on MP3 and Rock and Roll Hero. And oh my, I will stop because I can go
Mhm.
on and on, but highly recommend listening to
Yeah.
all of their discography because they change um the genre of the way the song sounds too. I think they're very versatile.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't know them other than this song, and I was putting together. I had 2 themes I was working with for this week, and like the theme I went with ended up like this song didn't fit with it. But um, you get into the algorithm, and then like the little nostalgia machine, you tell it to play one song, and then all of a sudden it starts feeding you all this stuff. And we had fed the nostalgia machine like fastballs the way, and then all of a sudden, like 4 songs later, this song came up. I'm like, it's one of those like, oh yeah, of course, I used to love this song. But yeah, I had no idea that I mean, obviously bands, most bands have a big song and they continue to kind of tour with their faithful and they can keep it going for a few years or maybe a decade or whatever. But I didn't really follow them. But I'll tell the Nostalgia Machine, hey, give me some more Marcy Playground and let's see what you've got in there, because yeah, I always liked that one song, and the video is funny too. like
Yeah.
talk about absurdism. It's like I
Yeah.
like that kind of absurdism of
Yeah.
it.
Well, even just on that album, there's a great song called Sherry Fraser, Opium, St. Joe's. I mean, the lyrics are very heavy and poignant sometimes, but the songs are kind of boppy, and so I
Mhm.
love it for all those reasons. So anyway, that's it for me today. I'm food
Oh,
themed
okay.
out.
All right. Well, I know. I was like, are we gonna hear Meatloaf? I would do
There, right. I
anything
mean,
for love.
just think about how far you could go with a food theme, artist or
Yeah.
song title. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah.
You could go for whoever. Okay. Well, my theme that this week, as I may have mentioned earlier, is just like that early, like that first, like I might try to love someone. Like when you're 11, 12, 13, you're like, there might be something to this whole like getting a boyfriend, getting a partner situation. So first up is a real classic from this era.
We both lie silently still in the dead of the night. Although we both lie close together, we feel miles apart inside. Was it something I said or something I did? Did my words not come out right? Though I tried not to hurt you, though I tried, but I guess that's why they say every rose has its thorn. Just like every night has its dawn. Just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Every rose has its thorn. Yeah, it does.
Okay, that's enough of that. So, I picked this song mainly, obviously I love this song, but I picked this song mainly, I think it's Dave Chappelle. Sean is gonna be so mad at me that I don't remember this, but he's like, there's like a bit that it's like, if you play this song, all the middle-aged ladies are gonna be like, what?
Uh,
Yeah, so like it's literally like every time I hear this song, I'm like, oh,
it is true.
but
It's true. It's the call of the middle-aged women for sure.
yeah, yeah. I love this song from like my earnest 11-year-old self. Like, I think I've said this before, but like part of like how I figured out what kind of music I might like is my mom had a friend who had a daughter who was like, 10 years older, 17. I was like 8. And she was into Poison. I'm like, well, if she's into Poison, I'm into Poison because obviously all the cool girls are into Poison. So I'm like, let's be
Yep.
into Poison. And then they're like the hair, and they kind of have that same like kid rock kind of country rock, hip hoppy, like they're definitely not country music, but like always with the bandanas and always with the cowboy hats and always with the super tight jeans. And I'm like, Brett Michaels, do you have an identity crisis? But yeah, I just love this kind of hairspray rock. I love this
Oh yeah.
music.
Yeah.
All right. So did you dance in the middle school with a boy to Every Rose Has Its Thorn?
Absolutely I did. Yes.
Yeah. That's a
Although-
real coming
although-
of age situation.
Although honestly, during my middle school, it started to switch to like hip hop and R&B. So there was like a lot of Boys to Men and
Yeah.
Jodeci going on by the time I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
took a
well, my
turn.
next
Took a
song-
turn.
My next song is a little bit more like Poison. I was into like because it was more aspirational. Like older kids would be into Poison. Also, like I'm watching this video like when I'm 11 in 1989 or whatever. So, this song is just more like, oh, I could see myself being this person. Okay, let's see.
I get lost in your eyes, and I feel my spirits rise and soar like the wind. Is it love that I am in? I get weak in a glass. Isn't this what's called romance? And now I know, 'cause when I'm lost, I can't let go. I don't mind not knowing what I'm headed for. You can take me to the skies. It's like being lost in heaven when I'm lost in your eyes.
Okay.
Oh, my little 7-year-old heart just skipped a beat. Oh my God.
I wanted to be Debbie Gibson so bad. Like, honestly, I was looking at this video. I was like, wait a minute. I have Debbie Gibson's hairdo, and I have Debbie Gibson's makeup, and I would love to have Debbie Gibson's hat. And I've been petitioning my husband to let me wear big shoulder pad blazers, and he's like, no, you
No.
cannot.
Don't bring that back. It's,
And
no.
I'm like, I think that I want to be Debbie Gibson.
Oh yes, that I have Debbie Gibson vinyl. Like I was immediately searching in the near vicinity for a hairbrush to sing into because that is all I want to do when I listen to Debbie Gibson. Me and my older sister just hours upon hours, just rewind that tape, rewind that tape. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And just like oh, you're so, oh, even just like the lyrics of the song and her sentiment and like the way she's sitting by herself at the piano, I'm like, this embodies the whole being 11 to 14 for me. Like, this song is everything.
Yes. That's so good. Oh my gosh. Now I have to go listen to Debbie
I
Gibson
don't
now.
mind not knowing what we're headed for. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Such a good one. Good pick. That just yeah, brings back a lot of memories.
All right. The next one is also kind of in that same era. Listen to this on repeat, kind of a formative, kind of girl power. How do you become the adult you're gonna be? Let me
I know there's something in the wake of your smile. I get a notion from the look in your eyes. Yeah, you built a love, but that love falls apart. Your little piece of heaven turns to dust. Listen to your heart when he's calling for you.
Okay.
Woo!
I love Roxette.
Yes.
So Roxette is a Swedish pop duo. And so my dad is Swedish. My grandpa is Swedish. That makes my dad Swedish. That makes me Swedish. So there's like certain rules in life that if there is a Swedish pop duo, you kind of have to support them, like keep it in the family type of situation. So like we listen to ABBA and like all this other, but I loved Roxette. Like the her also like her look, it was kind of in that like borderline androgynous, but still like you were never like, is that a boy or is that a girl? But she was always kind of like borderline androgynous, and like Madonna kind of did a borderline androgynous look around the same time. And I'm like, this is so, it's so impressionable on like how I think I should look and how I should act and what kind of makeup I should wear and everything. So I mean, I love this song too, and especially like going back to back with like Lost in Your Eyes and Listen to Your Heart and Lost in Your, like this was kind of like middle school on repeat, was this like soundtrack of my life.
Oh yeah. And I mean, this isn't even like Listen to Your Heart, but then there's like It Must Have Been Love,
Yeah,
and The Look is one of my
yeah.
the favorite. I
I
mean, all of these things.
They're so good. They're so
Yeah.
good.
But Roxette
Yeah.
was, you're right, like the borderline androgynous look, but it felt very she had this like air of confidence about her, like this, I am this sexy woman no matter what I'm wearing, no matter what my hair looks like. I am just Roxette. I
Yeah.
don't know. She just had
Yeah.
the thing, like Joan Jett or any woman that was out there singing with this confidence. Like Debbie Gibson was just like, I'm a waif that's in love with a boy,
Yeah.
but Roxette comes out just like, this is exactly how I'm feeling. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm pining, it must have been love. I'm still a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. And she would be like, like belting it out. It must have been
Yes, and maybe it
love.
was more of kind of like the power ballad too, and
Yeah.
the voice behind it. It's just the image was completely different, but the songs were still as romantic.
So I had, yeah, Roxette, it's hard to choose which song to pick. I picked this one just, I don't know, it felt like it went better with the Debbie Gibson song. But then there was another, in another universe, I did the Fine Young Cannibals, She Drives Me Crazy. And then She's Got the Look would have been, those two would have gone together.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm
Oh,
like, I don't know. I love that Fine Young Cannibal song too. Like but it's so like, I'm like, I feel like I need to do more research about what's even going on in that song before I just play it, because it seems like the kind of song like there has to be some kind of backstory on that one.
exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh, great picks. Love it.
Well, that was my story. So those are my three songs. That's just like what it was like to be an 11 to 13-year-old little Rhiannon, just like, oh, um, besides like, Boys to Men and Belle Biv DeVoe, like you're just like, you see what the boy band music is, and then like Debbie Gibson and just like poppy girls. It's just like, how are these, like the worlds, like how did we make those worlds align together and become an adult? It just like sometimes blows my mind.
Yes, yes, exactly. I really feel like, and I think maybe we talked about this later on, but when we were talking about different, like, or earlier in the podcast, like different looks for the decade and all of this stuff, when you start getting into the 90s, there are so many different looks, or the late 80s and early 90s, and just all of these genres are just popping up everywhere. And like just being someone who gets to consume it all, and what it does to your brain. Where do you want to go? There's so many more options than is it a 50s rock, or is it a little doo-wop? Is it just these little small branches of just become infinite branches of genres and subgenres.
Yeah. And I think that like going back to like at the beginning, we're like, okay, we're gonna play music from like this kind of early 90s, because that's like our formative years. We watch a lot of the React channel, and they just had a video like a week or 2 weeks ago of like, do millennials remember songs from the 2000s? And I'm like not that much older than that, but I knew nothing. And I'm like, what is going on? But like it was their formative years. It was the time that they were in high school and they would just have like drinking from the fire hose kind of music consumption and forming their identity of who they were going to be in the future. And I like just being 5 years older. And like I already had like the genres of music that I listened to when the preset stations on my radio and like the places that I was going to go. I already kind of knew like what my musical identity was. And I wasn't just like trying all this new stuff out. So I did
Right.
not know any of like, I think out of the 12 songs, I knew one. I'm like, oh, well, maybe we might have to branch out in the 90s and like, what happened after we were old? All
Oh
right.
my
Well,
gosh.
that's what I have for this week. Any big plans coming up?
You know what? Not currently. It's kind of nice, you know. Things are just kind of settling into the summer. There might be some camping in the future and, you know, just living life, hanging out. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. We did camping at the beginning of summer and Memorial Day weekend, and we don't have any plans for the rest of the summer, but I'm kind of like looking at the calendar and back to school is like August 12th. And I'm like, ooh,
Oh, that's
maybe
so
we should get on this.
soon.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they get out super early. They get out on the first Friday of June. So they get out like way before everybody else does too. So I'm like,
Uh,
okay, well, we pay for that by going back early.
exactly.
But yeah, I'm trying to figure out something fun to do, especially like so Hannah's 11, so, like all this music's like, oh, what was I doing the summer that I was 11? And 11 it was still kind of like I was still in elementary school. So next summer, the summer she's 12, is like the real big formative like, what are you gonna start babysitting? Like, are you gonna have to start earning your own money? Are you gonna be able to like close your door and get on the phone without having to ask for permission? Like, a lot of big decisions ahead of us between now and next summer.
Oh, that's great.
All right. Well, since I don't have anything else for this week, I think we can just stop recording.
Wrap it up. All right. Well, it's good
All
talking
right.
to you.
Yeah,
See ya.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.